Now, Alan will momentarily talk to you about Hunt Library, but I'd like to talk a little bit about the relationship between Hunt Library over there and the fraternities over there. You see, do you know what a gazorch is? You probably don't. A gazorch is a slingshot. A really big one. One worthy of being called a gazorch. It is unproven but damned compelling. The fraternity house on the very corner at Morwood and Forbes that is now occupied by Alpha Epsilon Pi was not some years ago, and it is believed that a cue ball, as in from billiards, was launched through the windows of the library from that fraternity house. When you get two really good stout supports and enough high-quality surgical tubing, anything is possible. Now, I'd like to talk another moment about the fraternity that was in that house. They're not there anymore. A Pi, who are a bunch of great guys, are. But that house used to be occupied by Alpha Tau Omega, not to be confused with Alpha Phi Omega.
Or Alpha Chi Omega.
Or Alpha Chi Omega, for that matter.
Why were A Phi L on this campus and not ATO?
Alpha Tau Omega got busted for a lot of things. They had a notorious record for doing not entirely appropriate things to young women who were at their house too late for parties. On somewhat less of an unpleasant note, they launched cue balls through the windows. What finally got them kicked off of campus was the most heinous thing of all. They threw a snowball at a car driving down Forbes Avenue. Because, you see, when you're doing awful things to girls who are also part of the university, the administration may not notice. When you're doing bad things to buildings which are also part of the university, the administration has the money to pay for the glass. But when you start doing things to random passersby in Pittsburgh, we get bad press. And they kick you off campus. Another interesting story involving that fraternity was when they decided they had had enough of the fraternity with which they share a wall. You see, from the outside, they share a building with Sigma Alpha Epsilon. There's a big partition brick wall between the two frats in the building. They decided to invade SAE's house through the basement. There's no door. They decided to make one. They decided to dig one. Unfortunately for them, SAE not only got wind of this, but many brothers in SAE were members or friends of members of the Asian Student Association. That year, ASA was particularly full of guys who were good in martial arts. When ATO's men got through the hole, they were a bit surprised by what happened thereafter. It was a little bit... It was a little bit awkward.
Sean, just say it. Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Yeah! Those frat boys were going down as fast as lightning. Now, this often gets publicized in the Nat Rat. You see, there's this newspaper on this university called the Tartan. Every now and then, they print a parody of themselves called the Nat Rat, Tartan backwards. When ATO was kicked off campus, they weren't kicked off in the middle of the year. They were told, that's it, you're gone at the end of this year, so find newer housing next year. The Tau fell off the side of the building. So there was an Alpha and a Space and an Omega. The Nat Rat decided to Photoshop up a picture. The picture had a 5 put in the middle. Now, Alpha Phi Omega is a service fraternity. It is not a hard drinking, partying fraternity. It's a fraternity for people who do community service. It also includes both men and women as full members. So there was an ad in the Nat Rat for AFIO's new frat house. Come party with the party. No, sorry, that's KGB. All freshmen and women invited. The Nat Rat then got in big trouble years later for posting racial slurs.
Oh!
such as ones I heard a few minutes ago but didn't dignify with a response. Alan!